Welcome back to the FM Realty Report. And in today's episode, we will discuss about the historic preservation, both at national and local levels. And we'll give you some more explanation and some details so you have a better understanding of how it works, whether it's at local or national level. So, hello, Don.
Hey, Roman. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
So, give us first basic knowledge on historic preservations, nationally and locally.
The $64,000 question always is, what does it mean to be a historic property? It means lots of things to different people. A general initial criteria, if you're going down the route of maybe getting on the National Register or getting on a local register, one of the basic criteria is that property? Could be a house, could be a commercial building, could be a park. Is it 50 years old or older? Again, it's not cast in stone, but that's an approximation. Then there's something called the Secretary of Interior Standards, which govern the kinds of criteria that are used to determine whether or not something meets the criteria to be designated as a historic property, or what you may have to do if you're renovating a property to make sure you're in compliance. So generally, around here, 50 years old or older is a basic criteria. So if you're living in a home in Liverpool that was built in 1985, that's not going to work. May it work someday, depending on the home? Yeah, possibly. There are homes in the city of Syracuse that have been designated that were built in the 50s and 60s. So the other aspect of historic preservation is, as I've alluded to, designation. And there are 3 levels of designation. A property can be designated and be put on the National Register of Historic Places or the State Register of Historic Places. Those are usually pretty much the same. If it's one, it can be the other. And then there's local designation. For instance, the city of Syracuse. I sat on the Landmark Preservation Board, which is part of the zoning department of the city of Syracuse for 30 years. And the charge there was to make sure that properties, parks, whatever it happened to be within the city limits, were preserved when they had historic integrity. The main difference that people don't understand and people fear when somebody knocks on their door, they get a piece of mail saying, geez, there's a move afoot to make your neighborhood a National Register district. People panic. Mm-hmm. I can't do whatever I want with my property. Oh, they're going to tell me it's going to take me 6 months to get a permit. Not true. Mm-hmm. What people don't realize, if you're in a National Register district or you're individually listed as a National Registry property, you can do whatever you want to your property at any time as long as you use your own money. Mm-hmm. If you use public funds, tax credits, we're going to get into that later. But if you use public funds, grants, now there's a process of review that you have to go through, and your work has to be reviewed, and it has to be done according to criteria. On a local district, however, it's just the opposite. Whether you're using public or private dollars, doesn't matter. There is that review process. Mm-hmm. There is that approval process, and things have to be done as they were approved. So in one sense, the local district is much more strict.
Okay.
Much more strict than, say, a national district.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Just while we're on it. So you said 50 years to qualify to be designated into historic registry. Now, is this only for New York State?
No,
Other
this
states
is national.
Are different? National. Okay, because I've heard things like it has to be 100 years.
The 50 years is a national criteria. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not cast in stone. It could be 48, could be 52. It's not cast in stone. Individual municipalities that do local designation or individual states could increase criteria, and some have increased criteria. I don't know what the criteria is in Massachusetts, but it wouldn't surprise me if they had different criteria, different age criteria for different kinds of properties. The administrator of this is the U.S. Secretary of Interior, and that's the guidelines. That's where they start. The U.S. Secretary of Interior does do their own designation work, but they do delegate most of this designation to the National Register to individual states. And individual states can have different criteria, can have stricter criteria.
Okay.
They can't have lesser criteria.
And you mentioned parks. Parks can also be designated?
Absolutely.
Okay. And parks designated also based on age from the time they were registered with the name of the park, or like when does the timeline start for the park?
It depends on what they call a period of significance.
Okay.
What is the historical time period, person, event that is of importance? And for instance, let me take Sedgwick, which is a neighborhood in the north side of the city of Syracuse. That was designated as a garden district, basically in the late 19-teens, early 1920s, and out into the 30s. That was very unique. The Scott Home District in the city, same thing, garden district. So part of the criteria for designation was the architecture that was in the area, the kinds of lots. There's no fences in the front yards. Utility poles are in the backyards. So it was a community that was built at a time that was unique, that was different, and it stood the test of time.
Oh, okay. Thanks for answering those questions. I'm sure maybe somebody else listening might have thought of it.
Oh, absolutely. We get that all the time.
Yeah. So you were explaining national and local levels of historic preservation. Give us an idea now. What are the benefits?
The benefits are really twofold in my book. One is what is referred to as pride of place. I live in a home, I'm a lucky guy. I live in a home that is in a National Historic District. It's also individually listed in the National Register of Historic Places. I'm extremely proud of my house, as you know. It's something that has been very important to me my whole life. I was born and raised in Chicago, and at an early age got introduced to a guy by the name of Frank Lloyd Wright, and I've gone off since then. I mean, architecture, historic architecture is something that has been a love of mine. So there's pride of place, and the whole national preservation entity that was created by action of citizenry back 100 years ago to put this as something of importance. So that pride of place is real. I mentioned that in a national district, you can do whatever you want with your own money, and you may violate the criteria that made that property eligible. The worst thing can happen to you is you may be delisted. You may be taken off the list. If I put pink polka dot siding on my house, I'd be taken off the list. But the reality is that pride of place is huge. The other thing is money. You have a potential of a 20% tax credit, not a deduction, tax credit for work that you can do in your property if you're in a National Registered District. Great example. The most recent City of Syracuse designation was the Westcott University area. It's over 2,000 homes. It's the second largest historic district in the state of New York. And that was done through the auspices of an organization called PACNY, Preservation Association of Central New York, and I'll get to that in a minute. And it took years to do because there's a lot of work. You got to document these properties. You got to take pictures of these properties. You got to justify the period of significance that we were talking about earlier and make sure that that area that you're talking about fits all those criteria. It's a lengthy process. PACNY took it on. As I said, it took years, but it was just recently accepted into the National Register. And those people in the Westcott University area within that district, you want to replace your furnace? You want to increase your energy efficiency? You want to repair a falling down porch? You want to put a roof on? Depending on what it is, you can get a 20% tax credit. That's significant. That's why I have always believed historic preservation, sure, pride of place is huge. That's my heart. That's my gut. Yet I'm in the real estate business, and economic development is what we're all about. And when you can go and do a project, be it an individual home or a commercial project, and potentially be eligible for a 20% tax credit, that's a game changer.
Yeah, that's a lot. Maybe to some people at a small level, like a residential home, might not seem a lot, but, based on obviously your financial situation. But if you're doing a large project, whether it's a $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15 million projects, and you qualify for those 20%.
It's
That 20% is a lot of money.
that makes a difference between the project being viable or not viable, and
Yeah.
even to the individual homeowner. Maybe they have a $10,000 project.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet somebody who's doing a $10,000 project on their house and is not going to be happy if somebody gives them $2,000 back.
Oh, all day. If I need to change my furnace and I can save $200, sign me up.
Absolutely.
But I also want to give in this early introduction to, we're going to have a guest from a company called Lynch Group LLC, and they specialize in a lot of historic buildings that the projects that, they go through this process. They apply to get grants, tax credits, and then be able to save these buildings and turn them into residential apartments or condos.
Absolutely.
And
look at downtown Syracuse.
Yeah.
Look at downtown Syracuse today and surrounding downtown Syracuse, and look at it 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think made that happen? Look at Armory Square. It's not just existing buildings. Center Armory, which is new construction, qualified for the tax credit.
Was Armory Square like a train station or something?
Armory Square was originally an open pond area a long time ago. It was an open pond, and then there was an industrial building, very similar in look to what's there now, that was a light manufacturing entity.
Okay.
And some visions of people, especially a guy by the name of Bob Doucette, which some people have heard. He was the creative genius behind the renovation. He and George Curry, they did the building that Possibilities is in, Labor Temple building, and that started it off. And Armory Square is a direct result of the ability to economically develop and create what is essentially a brand new neighborhood because of historic tax credits.
Yeah, Armory Square is beautiful.
Armory Square is beautiful.
What they've done there, and what's nice too is the preservation that they went through to save some of those buildings, and the way they did it is also attracting younger population.
Oh, absolutely. Nice. I'll give a plug for FM Realty Group here. We were the broker on the Center Armory project, on the new construction project.
Nice.
And I spent 4 years of my life down there. It's a combination of ground level retail and upper level townhouse style living with a courtyard. Most people don't realize, but when you look at that Center Armory building and you see all the townhouses on top of the first floor retail, there's a courtyard in the middle there.
Yes, there is.
And it's gorgeous. And it was, again, the creative genius. I give Bob Doucette a lot of credit. He's just a very, very creative guy.
And when I first moved here in 2007, I would hear, not a lot, but here and there, Salt City this, Salt City that. What's the history behind that?
Salt. Salt was discovered here, and, we talk about salt potatoes. It all came from the same thing, the salt flats that were on the southeastern and southern and southeastern shore of Onondaga Lake, and salt was mined from these salt flats, and to the point that at one point, 96% of all salt came from Syracuse in the United States.
Wow.
Now think about pre-refrigeration. Preservation of food was all about salt.
Yeah.
And it's one of the unwritten realities of the Civil War, for instance. The South didn't have salt. The North had Syracuse. And it was a game changer, a complete game changer in the ability to provide food to Union troops because of the salt that existed that came from Syracuse. And the workforce was largely Irish immigrants who came here, and they started putting salt on potatoes. Potatoes was part of their dietary history, and they started putting salt on potatoes, and now we have the famous Syracuse salt potatoes.
So I think that was 1930s, right? Around 1930s here, the salt mine.
No, that was back in the 1800s.
1800s. So are there any buildings currently standing?
Yes, there's a salt museum at Onondaga Lake Park.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you haven't been there, listeners, you ought to go there because it is our history.
Yeah.
It is our history, and it's what made it. You combine our salt that we had here, then the creation of the Erie Canal, It was a game changer.
I was just going to mention the Erie Canal.
It was a game changer.
Yeah. And we also have an Erie Canal Museum here in
Yes.
Syracuse. Check that out as well.
Absolutely.
And I want to just kind of play a role here of a neighbor who would be complaining about changes in the historic neighborhood.
Right.
Let's say I'm that neighbor.
Yeah, you get something in the mail from the city of Syracuse.
Yeah.
You live in the city saying, attend this meeting because we're going to designate your neighborhood, or we're going to attempt to designate your neighborhood as a national district.
Yeah.
Again, two things to remember. Are you talking about local designation,
Mm-hmm.
or are you talking about national designation?
Mm-hmm.
National designation is almost exclusively a pride of place thing.
Mm.
Do you have pride in your community? Do you want your community to continue to look the way it does? National register status helps that process,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't inhibit you from doing what you want to do with your own
Okay.
money. Now, if you're a resident in a national registered district, I would hope that you would at least look at the resources available and get some idea of what things might be appropriate to do and what things might not be appropriate to do in terms of your property.
Mm-hmm.
Again, different periods of significance require different kinds of criteria. Then there's the local district. The local district, as we mentioned, is a local district, and there is a review process of anything that you want to do in the exterior property, again,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the criteria. Scott Home, where I live, is not a local district. It's a national district. Sedgwick, on the north side of the city, is a local district. And the garden district criteria that was part of what established the designation means that there's jurisdiction over landscaping. Doesn't mean you can't tear down a tree. A tree dies.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to replace it.
Yeah.
You might not be able to go and wholesale just mow down everything in your front lawn and put up big fences in your front lawn. So there's criteria. And yes, in a local district, the community has to be engaged,
Okay.
has to want it. And this has to go through a legislative process. The city of Syracuse cannot unilaterally do this.
Okay.
Ultimately, it goes to the Common Council
Mm-hmm.
for a vote, for a decision.
And if you were to talk to a person who lives in the neighborhood and this person is upset, that I'm this guy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, great, more control,
Yep.
telling me what I can and cannot do. How would you carry this conversation with this person, potentially convincing it is okay to do it? You might benefit from this, and keep it simple in a way to where this person just got de-escalated from being upset to,
Right.
oh, okay, kind of makes sense. I might not still be on board, but I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a great question, Roman. Great question. And I'd give the same answer whether it's a local or national district. And it's kind of where I was going before. Why do you live there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like your neighborhood?
I do.
Is it attractive?
I like it.
Do you want to keep it that way?
Yes.
This is a way to keep it that way. I mean, it's
Wow,
really,
that's the most simplest way.
Yeah. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And again, if you go to a local district, now there's real teeth because there's a review. Somebody wants to put in new windows. Somebody wants to paint their house. There's a review, and there's criteria that have to be met. And the whole idea starts with, again, there's exceptions and things change, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the basic is replace in kind.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go and replace your windows with wooden windows if they're wooden windows. Replace your siding with wooden siding if there's wooden siding. Don't go introduce vinyl siding when you've got wooden siding on your house.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the kinds of things. What was the material?
Mm-hmm.
What was it at the time of significance that made it designated? That wants to be maintained. There's a couple other aspects of this, too, that people don't understand. Windows is always a big one. People always want to go with a vinyl-covered window. Mm-hmm. And generally, in the city of Syracuse, that's generally not acceptable. There's exceptions to everything, and there are other products that, other than wood, that might be acceptable. But there's one other reality. You have a double-hung wooden window that is still functioning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's painted shut. You have to work on it to get it painted shut. Maybe there's rope weights that you want to put jams in so you can get rid of the rope and fill that cavity with insulation. There's things that you want to do. But that wooden window might be 80 years old. And if it's cared for, it's going to last another 80 years. You go and you put in vinyl framed window, you're going to be doing it again in 20 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because the quality of the wood that is used in that construction will not stand up anywhere near what most of these windows were virgin wood, virgin oak in lots of cases in the city of Syracuse. And as I said, they may be 80 years old, 90 years old, and they're going to last another 80 or 90 years. You show me a window you can buy today that's going to last 80 or 90 years.
Yeah. You'll be paying a lot of money for that window.
Yep.
And from construction industry, I'll tell you the complaint that people have with the older windows is energy efficiency.
Energy efficiency.
They say it's a single panel glass. There's no insulation. There's no double panel glass with argon gas.
I'm glad you bring that up because you're absolutely right, unless you have a storm window.
Mm-hmm.
Studies have been done time and time again. You take the typical thermal pane, double pane window today and compare that energy efficiency to a single pane window with a single pane storm, assuming the window's in good shape, it's been caulked, it's been maintained, the differences in energy efficiency are the single digits.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I want to say, air carries an R value.
Yes, it does.
In construction, when you do insulation, it is required to have some air in your fiberglass in order to have that R value. There are some builders or, contractors who are getting just early introduction into this business and might be jamming and squeezing that insulation.
Right.
You just reduce the R value.
You just reduce the R value, right. So, Windows is always a typical thing, and we hear that all the time. Now, the reality again is, where's the trade-off? What are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to have a storm window. Now, the Secretary of Interior a long time ago realized cost implications of certain things, and aluminum triple track storm and screen is allowed in a historic district. We're not forcing people to maintain wooden storms. If you have wooden storms, I've got wooden storms in my house. I keep them in shape because I like the look, and it's the appropriate look. But again, slate roofs. The concept is replace in kind. It's almost impossible, virtually impossible, certainly in an economically viable way, for a residential homeowner to find and install a slate roof if they have to replace it. It's just not going to happen. Therefore, asphalt fiberglass shingles are very acceptable. What goes against the grain is trying to get some of these architectural shingles that are made to look like a wooden shingle. Don't do that. It's a different product. Don't try to make something look like something else. Put the something else in, or just put the new product in.
I agree. Because of the growing registry of historic preservation nationwide, companies took that into consideration. And they are developing at a different scale of affordability, at the more affordable and more expensive products that might not be exactly wood, or like we talked about this, slate.
Right.
But it's so damn close that you would not be able to tell the difference within a couple feet away.
Right. We're talking off mic about a product called Fipon. It's a fiberglass product, and they're making windows out of that. And as that came and introduced itself into our marketplace locally, when I sat as chair of the Landmark Preservation Board, initially we would not approve it. But as that product improved, we had a demonstration, and we had 3 windows put in front of us, and we as commission members could go up, do everything but touch it. We weren't allowed to touch it. We'd go and look and say which one was the wood, which one. We couldn't tell the difference. Couldn't tell the difference. And the National Register and Secretary of Interior are recognizing it and realizing that, quote unquote, some synthetic products might be the better answer, because the direction is starting to go, what's the appearance? Is the appearance still historic?
Yeah.
Is the appearance still real to what the history is? Because quite frankly, slate roofs is a great example. If I wanted to put a slate roof on my house, although it never had one, but if it did, I wanted to replace it, it'd be $100,000.
Yeah.
No one's going to spend
Yeah.
that.
Plus finding a
Finding the
roofer,
product.
well, a roofer who
Or-
would qualify to install it.
Absolutely.
That would be the tough one too.
So, another thing I want to mention here, and I'm sure we're going to do more on this, and I can't wait to have Joe Gem come here, but there are also entities that are involved in this industry. Let's quote it. Some people say preservation is a dirty word. I think it's a misunderstood word. As I said, it can be certainly all about preservation of an historic product, an historic building, but it's also about economic development. And there's also a municipality, a government entity that is involved in this, but there's also nonprofit entities. Here locally, there's an organization known as PACNY, Preservation Association of Central New York. They were the ones that worked hard to get the Westcott University National District registered. They're a nonprofit, non-governmental preservation advocacy group. And you'll find these all over the country. All over the country. There's a Preservation League of New York State, which is a statewide preservation entity, nonprofit. So it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger in localities that have the historic properties and structures and land. There's parts of the country where everything's brand new.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work. But we're learning, and we're fortunate here, in my estimation, in Central New York, be it Syracuse, be it Central Square, be it Fulton. These are old communities, old villages that have a lot of very historic properties. And as we've talked in former podcasts, we've got this company called Micron coming here. And we've got development going on 6 ways from Sunday. And people have to pay for it. People have to be able to find a way to make it economically viable. If it's a historic property, you got 20% tax credit on the table potentially.
Yeah.
If you meet the criteria.
Which is a lot of money. 20%.
Which is a lot of money.
Well, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
I just want to kind of let people know and be a little more interested in this. Yes, new developments are fun and cool. The new technology is amazing and
Absolutely.
these new areas are being developed. Nothing wrong with that. We just need to think of where it all came from and preserve some of that.
Absolutely.
Think of it as if you're living within a museum.
Yeah. Well, you're living within a museum, but history is alive.
Yeah.
History is alive. And that's one thing. It tells a story. His story.
Yeah.
That's what history is. His story, her story. And that to me has always been very, very appealing.
Yeah.
And I think that as we go forward and we understand our history, this is getting off the topic a little bit, but as we understand our history, I think it makes for a better citizenry. It makes for a neighborhood and a community that gets along and understands each other.
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
Yeah. If we understand history, we can get along better. And it's not just historic preservation here. I've traveled overseas. You have as well, Don. And I've seen other countries preserving. I'll give you a few examples that I've recently seen. Paris, city of Paris preserves that structure. And you go, it's like 2 different neighborhoods. You have modern buildings in Paris and you have the all historic buildings in Paris.
But there's no modern buildings in that district.
You go to, I've been in Belgium, and there's a historic town in Belgium with all these old buildings, cobblestone roads and all this stuff. And then just outside of it is modern all glass buildings. I've been to Quebec. There's a town in Quebec that's all protected as a historic town, and same thing. And then it's like you coming out of these castle gates, and then there's these brand new modern buildings. So it's good. It's everywhere.
One thing that I'll close with, and it's kind of reassuring to me, although it's not understood yet. My 2 grandkids, they're now 8 and 11, and they live in a suburban community in North Syracuse, and they've got a lovely home, but then they come to my house, and I try to talk to them about architecture, and architecture is part of art and history, and they hear and they listen to a certain extent. They may not understand it, but they call my house a mansion. They see intrinsically the difference. And they like that difference. They think that difference is something that is pretty cool. And that's encouraging to me, not just because of my grandchildren, but that's what historic preservation to me is all about. When a child can look at a piece of property, that house versus this house, and see that something special here.
Yeah. Your house is in today's children's books as castles.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Don, for the time.
Thank you, Roman.
Thank you to everybody who is listening and following us. We appreciate anybody who has made comments recently, and we look forward to those more often. And please feel free to engage with us. If you have any real estate needs in New York, please reach out to Don Radke or myself, Roman Alexian. Our contact information is in the description. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, a renter, or investor, we're here to help you and assist you.
Absolutely. And if anybody has any questions on this process that we talked about today, feel free to reach out to me, Don Radke, and I'll be able to direct you where to go.
Excellent. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.